Hello YouTube, this is the Bucket coming at you today with my SACM 1935A. This is a hammer-fired firearm chambered in 7.65 French long. So let's talk a little bit about the specs of this pistol, talk a little bit about the history of this pistol, and talk to you about my impressions of shooting this pistol. So first and foremost, this gun is chambered in 7.65 French long. This gun comes in at 7.75 inches in length. The barrel length is 4.29 inches. The overall width is going to be 1.25 inches. The overall height is going to be 4.96 inches, and its weight is going to be at 17.6 ounces. It fires 8 rounds of 7.65 French long out of a single stack internal boxed magazine. Again, this is not a double action pistol, it's single action only. It does have a hammer block safety that's right here on the slide. So to give you a little bit of history about this, at World War I, the French really went to war with the Spanish Ruby pistols. And at the end of World War I, they knew that that was not going to work long-term for them. So they ended up having a pistol trial. They did like 7.65 as a caliber, and they ended up landing on this 7.65 French long cartridge. They felt that it was more potent than a 32 ACP pistol, but not quite, did not need kind of the oomph that 9mm would provide. Now, obviously, you know, hindsight being 2020, we think to ourselves, well, why wouldn't you go with 9mm? But they thought 32 ACP was pretty okay for World War I. They ended up winning the war, so they ended up going with this cartridge. They wanted it to be single stack. They wanted to have a magazine disconnect safety, so this gun does have a magazine disconnect safety. And this is what they ended up adopting. Now, SACM started to produce these pistols, and they found out shortly, World War II is on the horizon, and so they ended up having a 1935S pistol that kind of looks like this one a little bit, that ended up, both of these guns ended up being pressed into service. Now, where these become famous is because Charles Petter, the person who actually designed this pistol, he was Swiss born, but he ended up serving for the French Legion, and he ended up getting French citizenship. He designed this pistol, and after the end of the war, the company SIG ended up going and asking for rights to this pistol, and ended up using this design to inspire the SIG P210. I'm going to do a video on the SIG, comparing the 1935A and the SIG P210, so keep an eye out for that. We're not going to really talk about that here much. So this gun has kind of some influences of the Browning designs. So let's show you how you disassemble this pistol. So obviously you're going to want to drop your magazine. You're going to want to make sure your pistol is clear. And then there is going to be a spot where you put the slide back, and then you use your finger and push out the slide stop slide release. So you just go out a little bit, pull it out, and the slide stop slide release will come right out. Then you could pull the slide off. You'll see it's got a dual swinging link system in the barrel. And we'll show it to you right now. So you've got 2 swinging links. Now, this isn't just like the 1911, and it's really not like the high power either. It's something that they kind of designed for themselves. It does have 2 lugs on top of the barrel, which is going to look like a high power. It's going to look like a 1911. Like I said, it was inspired by John Moses Browning. It's a little dirty because I shot it at the range today. It does have a dual recoil spring. Not dual, sorry, captive recoil spring. The slide is made well. You can see that there are the lugs in the top of the slide. It does not run, so a SIG P210 runs with the slide on the inside of the frame. This is traditional, it runs on the outside of the frame. You'll see that it's basic Browning design, you know, through and through. Now, one of the nice things that it does have is that it does have a trigger system here, and this can come out. So if anything goes wrong with your trigger pack, you can just go ahead and take this out and you can replace it. and it actually goes through here to the frame as well. This is really indicative of sorry about that. This is really indicative of the Tokarev design. So it's a good design. It's got good slide rails here, and it works out really pretty well. To reassemble the pistol, you just do everything in reverse. Just go ahead and put the barrel in like that. You put your recoil spring in like this. Make sure that this goes up in between those swinging links. Put that on your frame. You'll want to line that hole up to get your slide stop slide release. Once you get that in, you're going to marry that up so that little divot goes right in there, and then it just goes ready to go. Again, that does have that magazine disconnect safety, so you can't do your function checks unless you have a magazine in there. Again, you do have a hammer block safety, so this just goes this way. If it's down like this, it is ready to fire. If it's up like this, it's blocked right there, so you're not going to be hitting on your firing pin or anything to that effect. You will see that they have this black enamel paint finish. That is how they did it for before the war. During the war, the Germans did the same thing. Now you'll find that a lot of these guns will end up having a chunk taken out of the grip, and then they put a lanyard loop on afterwards. That was done for police service. So this gun right here, it does have a... So you'll see here that you'll have a M1 1935A. Then you're going to have your serial number above the SACM. Mine has an E. It's in a cursive script, meaning that this was built in 1946. So chances are my gun right here was made right at the end of the war. It was actually sent to an artillery unit in France at the end of World War II. It probably, because there are no import marks anywhere on this pistol, what I'm guessing happened, which I think is kind of cool, is so at the end of the war, they made this gun. It helped out with the occupation at the end of World War II, and then ended up probably going to Vietnam or somewhere in Southeast Asia and served there, and the gun was abandoned and left behind, and it probably, an American GI, ended up coming home with this particular firearm as a prize of war. So it's kind of a cool military surplus type, military gun. It tells a piece of history, which is pretty cool. Now, these guns were used from 1937 to 1950 when they were phased out, and the French ended up adopting a pistol that was chambered in 9mm. These became... a lot of these guns ended up getting surplused, and for a long time you could just get military 7.65 French long ammo, but that dried up years ago, and this gun ended up kind of becoming a paperweight because you really couldn't find the ammunition here in the you couldn't find this ammunition anywhere. Nobody was making it. Now, luckily, excuse me, Ian McCullum is a Francophile from Forgotten Weapons, and I think he really inspired Starlight to start producing brass again, and then Steinel ended up starting to make some ammo again. So I ended up picking up 2 boxes of this. It was $88 by the time I got it home after shipping and everything, and so now I got to shoot this gun. It was a lot of fun to shoot. This 7.65 French long ammunition is really pretty, the recoil is really pretty soft. It was really pretty accurate, even with these military sights. They were good enough that you could pick up on them. I mean, that front sight is really small, but it goes well with this rear sight, and it hit point of aim, point of impact. It was a natural pointer. It's this slim grip made it just really nice to shoot. It was a lot of fun. The accuracy was awesome. So when I shot it, this is the accuracy that I got. I got 3 really good bullseyes at 10 yards. This one was just straight flyer. This one I just threw around right here. But, you know, these guns are just a lot of fun to shoot. The ammunition is expensive, but it is so much fun to get to interact with history. I really, really enjoy it. Now, these guns, they used to be able to get them for like $250, $300 when the ammo was impossible to find, and they were just basically something you could hang on the wall or have a nice paperweight on your desk. Now that people are starting to realize that there's ammunition available on the market, these guns have started to go up a little bit in value. They're going from closer to $450. So if you see one of these at a gun show and it has a good price on it, and you think that $88 for 100 rounds of ammunition is something that you might be willing to spend, this is a lot of fun to take to the range and to, like I said, get to interact with history. So keep an eye on that. The 1935 S's have a slightly different set of feature set, but are still chambered in that 7.65 French long. I'll see if I can pick one of those up to bring that to the channel as well. I am going to end up talking to you guys about comparing this gun to the SIG P210. And I'm also going to do a video about squibs, because I had some bad luck and ended up getting a squib. And I'm going to talk to you about those with this gun, this bullet, and my luck of having a good gunsmith that could get this gun back up and running. So I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. All the likes, the comments, and the shares are really appreciated. And as always, you stay classy, YouTube.
I learned a lesson. Never half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing.